Alright, hello guys, how's it going? In today's video, we're going to be taking a look at the tropics once again, just like yesterday. We now have two 70% chance areas of tropical cyclone development, which is a big tick up from yesterday. So we're going to take a look at both of those things in just a moment. Now, before I hop right into the video, I would ask that you do subscribe if you do like weather-related content, and also be sure to smash that like button and leave a comment down below. I would also like to remind you guys that a couple of days ago, we uploaded our third winter forecast. You can check that out today. I'm going to have that on the top right corner of your screen right now, where you can see what's underneath these question marks. See our full breakdown of the temperatures, precipitation, snowfall, and overall forecast over there on that video. You guys are already eating that video up, so I want to make sure everybody gets an opportunity to see it. So be sure to click that top right button up there. For today's comment of the day, I want to know, do you think this Gulf system is going to impact the United States? Let me know in the comments down below, and I'll be picking one of those for tomorrow's video. Let's get straight into this video, and first things first, we're taking a look here at the full 5-day graphical tropical weather outlook for all three of these. You can definitely tell which ones are the two 70% chance ones. They're in the Gulf, in the Caribbean, and then they're in the middle of the ocean. We also have downgraded to a 20% chance with our one down there in the main development region. So it's kind of like we saw two increase a lot and then one decrease a lot. I think overall things have become worse though, because the ones that have increased, it's 2 out of 3. But if we would have seen 2 go down to 20% chance and 1 up to 70, I would say things have gotten better. But definitely things are accelerating in the wrong direction here. Actually, you know what? Better yet, this one is a 30% chance. I'm taking a look at this now, and I'm showing it on screen. Got that one a little bit wrong. It's okay, though. 30% chance, not 20% chance, but very limited chance at least. So let's take a look at disturbance number 2 here. This is our one in the middle of the Atlantic, and the good thing is land interaction with this one is going to be quite minimum. So obviously that's good news in any case. But we do have a 70% chance of development. There is some warmer than normal water set up over this region, and I would not be surprised to see a hurricane out of this one eventually. So we're going to be watching for that. Later on, we'll take a look at the spaghetti model guidance and the intensity guidance for all three of these systems. So stay tuned for that as well. Now here is last but not least our disturbance there in the southern Caribbean right now. And this one also has a 70% chance of development. This one's interesting because it could either hit the Yucatan Peninsula, or it could go through what I like to call the sweet spot there in between Cuba and I almost said Dominican Republic, but the Yucatan Peninsula there in Cuba. If it goes through there, it's going to have minimal land interaction, and that will allow for it to maintain a lot of its intensity. Obviously, crossing that whole Yucatan Peninsula takes a long time for these storms, and typically that does eat away at a lot of intensity. So that will actually kind of impact the outcome of this storm, the very end outcome. I think at this point, Louisiana or Texas has the best chance of impact, even more so than Mexico does, but especially Louisiana, actually, according to the models this morning. But we're going to break down all of those things a little bit later on, so again, stay tuned for that. And matter of fact, what we're about to do is move on and take a look at the satellite imagery for all three of these systems, and then we're going to go ahead and move right on to spaghetti model guidance and intensity guidance. All right, now first things first, here we are taking a look at that system there that is located right there in the MDR, or main development region. As you can see, this storm is a very weak storm at this point, so odds are definitely against it, but we'll take a look later on that there is a chance at some development. It's just not as high as these other two at this point. Now, let's go ahead and take a look here at the one in the middle of the Atlantic, though. And this one looks like it's developed a little bit further. You can see there's 3 areas, actually, of main very, very tall clouds. The darker into those reds and blacks you get, the taller the clouds. And even that white spot there on that bottom one, that's even taller clouds, actually. So what we end up seeing usually with an intensifying tropical system is that these develop like this. You see where there's multiple blobs, and then they come together. And in between them would typically be where an eye wall would develop in a more major hurricane, obviously, which is not technically expected with this one in the middle of the Atlantic at this point. But that's just what would happen if it did intensify to that point. So this is actually on its way to being a stronger storm as we speak. Now, this one in the kind of southern Caribbean here near South America, this storm is in an area where typically these storms die out. The southern Caribbean, it's kind of like a storm graveyard. These storms typically don't have an easy time moving through this area, but this one is going to make it through, it appears, and then at that point, it could develop much further as it moves into the Gulf of Mexico. Potential for a major hurricane with this one. We're seeing that on the model intensity guidance, so that is what I'm basing that on. But there is at least a chance of that occurring. So we're going to need to watch for that possibility throughout the coming week or more. But as you can see, these clouds on this one are actually much taller than that one in the middle of the Atlantic. We see the whites showing up and even the pinks there, which is basically very tall clouds showing up within this disturbance. That one is a little bit earlier in its development, but already off to a hot start with that one. Let's just go ahead and take a look at some of this model intensity guidance and the spaghetti model guidance. And this one is for that one that is near Africa in our main development region. This is according to the GEFS model. And as you can see, this one is expected to generally head towards the west and then curve north, take a pretty sharp turn there directly towards the north and basically break up after that point. So none of those really have this one developing. Here's all the individual models. And as you can see, there is some possibility of this one heading kind of more towards Bermuda. But the majority here have that very sharp turn to the north, and even some have a much sharper turn even back east as well. Um, Here's the intensity guidance for this one, and as you can see, possibilities are pretty limited at this point. We see a vast majority of these keeping this one underneath tropical storm status. There is a handful, though, that eventually take this one up into the tropical storm status. So this one will be one we're going to watch. Until it's basically gone, we're going to watch it. But it has the least chance out of all three of these systems, obviously, at this point. Now, what we're going to do is we're going to move on, and we're going to take a look at the spaghetti model guidance and intensity guidance for the last remaining two storms, both the storms with 70% chances of development individually. Now, first things first, here is our GEFS model. And as you can see, a lot of these kind of keep it all over the place, but generally they all turn back kind of northeasterly. And it intensifies greatly at that point. And it's the same thing here on the Canadian model. Very weak storm, curves back towards the east, intensifies very quickly there. So interesting to see the good agreement there on a very specific characteristic of this storm's track. Here's the individual models, and it's just all over the place here. Very confusing. I think a lot of these have this one just turning right around and going right back where it came from, which is obviously really odd. Overall, this is the most complicated storm out there, and I'm going to wait to see a lot of what these models begin showing with this one once they get a little bit more agreement going. I'm sure by tomorrow even we will get a lot more of a narrowed idea of what to expect from this one. But as far as intensity guidance goes here, very surprising here, but basically we only have a handful of models on board. One keeps it underneath tropical storm status. The rest take it to at least Category 2 status. And even one there takes it to Category 3 status, with two kind of hovering right on that line. So a majority of these ones have this one scratching at the door of Category 3 status, which is obviously pretty interesting given its location. And the good thing is land interaction is expected to be minimal with that system. Now, to the most concerning storm here. The one there in the southern Caribbean, even over top of South America there, where it really isn't holding this one back. Again, it has the tallest clouds at this point. Here's our GEFS model, here. And as you can see, a lot of these have it heading straight towards that sweet spot, but we see a lot of these heading right over top of Cuba. That would be a little bit less of a land interaction than I would say going over the Yucatan Peninsula. But as you can see, we only have a few members on board here. One has it hitting central Louisiana as a stronger storm. And then we have one hitting Mississippi there as a very strong storm, actually. Very, very strong storm. That one shows a 949 millibar low pressure center, which is a stronger hurricane to say the least. So that's obviously a concerning look. Canadian model keeps it a little bit weaker, but we're still making it into the 980s on a lot of these. So that would be a stronger storm as well, just not nearly as strong. And here, once we're taking a look at these individual models, you can tell that anything from a Yucatan Peninsula hit to a Cuba hit is possible, and that includes that sweet spot there where we see a couple go through. That would probably lead to a stronger storm. But as you can see, somewhere I would include the northern coast of Texas just because of how close these are, but anywhere from the coast of Texas, Louisiana, Mississippi, Alabama, and maybe even the Florida Panhandle, you can't really rule anything out, but most of the Gulf Coast here is at risk with this storm, and we're just going to need to watch it closely and narrow this down. Here's the intensity guidance for this one, and obviously this is the most concerning at this point. We do have one model that very quickly takes this one all the way to a Category 5 storm. We do have another one that shows it hitting Category 4 status, but then we have three that show it only getting to Category 1 status, and then we have also three that only show it becoming a tropical storm. So there's a wide variety of options with this one, ranging anywhere from extremely concerning to more of a nuisance storm. So we're going to really need to narrow this down over the coming days. So be sure to subscribe. Again, we're going to be updating you guys probably daily on these storms until they're all said and done. So we're going to be watching this one extremely closely. And I plan on updating this actually tomorrow once we get more information. Hopefully, we see a little bit of a downtrend in this intensity guidance. For today's confidence tab, we've actually downgraded a little bit. We're at a 4 out of 6 in this one, and this is because we have some question marks with the intensity here with this Gulf storm, for instance, and some big question marks with the track, considering you can hit anywhere in the Gulf. The middle one, we have some question marks as it pertains to which direction it's even going to head. And then the main development region, we have some question marks as it pertains to if it's even going to develop or not. So there's a lot of question marks up in the air right now, but we do feel slightly confident in some things, moderately confident, I would say. That's why we're about 50-50 here. There's a lot more things to go over, and that's going to take days to develop and really see more of that information come in. That's going to be more and more narrow with the possibilities. For today's comment of the day, I asked you guys yesterday, which storm do you think has the best chance of developing? And Bendy Gamer 99 said, yes, the one in the Caribbean has the biggest chance. And at this point, I agree. I think this one has the best chance of development at this point. So good comment of the day there. For today's patron highlight of the day, I want to thank you all for supporting the channel, but especially our platinum patrons, John Benbeck, James Wade, Dovey Nagel, Larry the Pan, and Donna Carnes. Alongside our diamond patrons, Bill Roberts, Marcus Connolly, Noah Harley, Michael Cotalesa, Catbite, Charles Tennant, Cindy Klein, Mark J, Luke Flego, Gary's, John Colisi, Dwight Phelan, and Stephen Cronenthal. If you would like to be a part of this Patreon screen of the day, you can do so by joining our very exciting Patreon page in the description and in the pinned comments down below. I would also like to thank our channel members, Hair Farms 1 and Catbite as well. Anyway, guys, thank you so much for watching this video. Be sure to smash that like button, leave a comment down below, and subscribe for more weather-related content. I will see you guys in the next video.